What is a camera rig? Do you need one, or could you get away with throwing something like this on a tripod? Friend, my answer to this question may actually surprise you, but I first have to tell you who this video is for. Here at Guided Productions, we're all about creating pro video without the need for pro gear. So why am I talking about things like camera rigs? Well, first of all, as you evolve as a videographer, as a producer, you're gonna come up to some limitations and you're gonna find yourself needing to expand some of the gear that you have to help alleviate some of the burden or make things a little bit easier. Now, if you're just starting out and you're using an iPhone or a smartphone, or you just bought your first interchangeable lens camera, that's a completely different story. And friend, I am sorry to say this video is not for you. I do have other resources around that, but today I do want to talk to the person who is a little bit more advanced, who's been in this a little while, and you're starting to realize there may be some benefits to building out a rig and acquiring some accessories. Now, there is a caveat to this because there are a lot of fun things that you can buy that make your camera look really cool, but they don't really add or bring any benefit to the table. I'll talk about that as well. So when I'm asked the question, is a camera rig really necessary? My answer to that is, well, it depends. It depends on your production style. It depends on your type of camera and the environment that you're shooting in. So I want to back up a little bit and talk to you about what a camera rig actually is. And to do that, I'm going to show you an example from my Canon R8. This is one of my camera rigs. Now, what do I have going on here? I will tell you most of what you see here is very much for a purpose, but there are a couple things on here that are totally unnecessary, and I bought them just because I could and I wanted to. So let's talk about why I even started to build out a rig. First and foremost, I didn't go buy this all in one day. This was building up over the course of many months, if not a year, to get the things that I wanted. I tried things, didn't like things, added things, removed things, and this is what I have settled on. So let's talk about why did I even start looking into camera rigs and accessories to begin with. Well, if you've followed me for any length of time, you know I like to shoot on this Canon R8 camera. It's a teeny tiny mirrorless camera, but the thing is a workhorse. For the price point, I think it's a great budget camera, but it really is a powerhouse in its own right. And there are a lot of really good things that come along with it. So the body of this camera already is very, very small. Even just adding a cage to this camera made it feel a little bit more robust, a little bit more secure in my hand. Even added a little bit so that when I'm holding it with my pinky can get on here like this. And so that was what it all started with. It was just the tiny little cage that runs around the outside of the camera. Now, the first argument you're going to get for people who are defending their camera rigs is that it protects the camera. And while that is technically true, that's almost never the reason why anybody begins to build out a rig to begin with. Now, I can't speak for everybody, but I would be willing to bet that most of the folks out there building out a camera rig just think it looks really freaking cool. And it does. But let's talk about why it's built in the way that it is. So the reason I started building out a rig is, one, I wanted a better way to carry the camera because it is so teeny tiny. And the more weight that you add to the camera actually allows you to be more stable when you're filming in handheld. The Canon R8 doesn't have IBIS, or in-body image stabilization. So having that extra weight to be able to hold your camera steady while you're shooting handheld makes a huge difference. That was part of the reason. The biggest reason why I started building out a rig on this particular camera is because the R8 is so small, the battery life is terrible. There's not a lot to fit inside this camera. And so because it can't hold a charge, I needed some way to power this camera externally. And I do that by adding my V-mount battery right here on the back. So I have this SmallRig 99 battery. It just attaches right to the back. There's a metal plate here. And then you can see that I have some cables running all over the place that are powering the camera and the monitor that I have here as well. So let's talk about that. By having a cage around my camera, it allows me to add different accessories so that I can attach other things on. So up top here, I have an Atomos Shinobi 2 monitor with touch focus, which is great. So I can see what's going on and I can tap the screen and actually focus while I'm filming, which is really cool. And I just have this dummy battery here attached to the back with this blue cable running right into my V-mount battery, which is powering the monitor. Now, there are some other things as well. I have a microphone over here on the side, and because I have this cage with this arm built out, I can actually remove that from the camera a little bit and get the microphone clear of anything in front of it. One other thing that you're gonna notice here is this matte box. This thing on the front here is called a matte box. This is totally unnecessary. I just think it looks really cool. And so I bought it because I thought it kind of rounded out the whole kit, if you will. It does serve a purpose, not right now, but it will hold ND filters. So if you're not familiar with ND filters, when you're shooting in really bright light, if you go outside and you're trying to film an outdoor scene, the sun is super bright, you either need a diffuser of some kind of shade, some way to break up that harsh daytime light. And an ND filter is almost like sunglasses for your camera. And so you can actually slide them right into this matte box. So that's what I told myself. That was the justification for why I got this. I also like it because it has this little barn door that I can close, this little shutter box here. I can close that and protect the lens from any dust or debris if I don't have my lens cap handy. Typically I have it in my pocket or somewhere nearby that I can throw it on there. But I do like that. And it does serve the purpose of blocking out some light from above, and there's science behind how this all works. But friend, I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I bought the matte box because I thought it looked cool. So that is the bulk of this rig. That is everything that I bought for this camera and the reasons for why I did buy it for this camera. The camera that I'm shooting on right now is actually the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K, and it's on its own rig. I have a Tilta cage around it. It's on rails, and then it has some external V-mount batteries off the back that are powering both the camera itself, and then I have an Atomos Ninja monitor that's attached to the top of it, and that's being powered by another battery that's off the back. So the biggest reason why I would encourage anybody to start building out a rig is if you want to extend the battery life of your camera or any accessories that require battery, like a 4K monitor, having a rig built up where you can add additional batteries and click them on and swap them out is a huge, huge lifesaver, especially if you're going into long shoots. Now, one major drawback to building out a camera rig is that it becomes heavy and bulky. And yes, it does protect the camera to some degree, but trying to travel with this thing kind of becomes a pain because you either need a bag big enough to house the whole unit in its rigged out state, or you need to be prepared to disassemble everything and then reassemble it. I had to shoot a couple of ads for a tech company up in New England earlier this year, and I traveled up with my Canon R8 rig. In fact, I didn't even have my matte box yet, but I was working on building everything out, and I did have to disassemble some of it before I left, and then in the hotel reassemble it and get it ready for the day of the shoot. Again, disassemble it for the plane ride and all that fun stuff. So I don't mind that. I like Legos just as much as the next person, so it's kind of fun for me to build things up and tear them down. However, I would say that's something to consider too, because now you have to have this big, bulky item that's kind of always the size that it is. It's really hard to collapse that, fold it up, or throw it in a bag to get it off your desk. All in all, I really do like that I have a rig for each of these cameras, especially the ones that I'm shooting longer form content with, because I can put up a monitor, I can see myself, whether I'm in focus or out of focus. I can make sure my lighting is all good without having to run back and forth to the camera and guesstimate. So that is really helpful. But I'm fortunate enough to also have a camera. I've got a Sony a7S III that I can put right on a gimbal or right on a tripod that doesn't have any cage or rig around it. And it is convenient to be able to have something like that, especially if you're doing more of a moving shot and you want it on a gimbal or some other resource that you have for filming. It's nice to be able to jump to that, or even if I just want to take a couple of stills, throw a couple photographs on there, I can grab that thing, throw it in a backpack, and I'm good to go. So going all the way back to the beginning, is a camera rig absolutely necessary? The short answer is no. The longer answer is it really depends. It depends on your production style. It depends on the type of camera you have. A lot of these newer cameras, the bigger ones especially, have really solid battery life. But unfortunately, I'm working with a tiny guy. I did choose that. Again, I think it's a powerhouse for what it is and for the price point that it is. It's just lacking in the battery power. So I made up for that by adding a V-mount battery to my camera rig. And now battery power is not an issue. Friend, if you have any questions about this, I love talking about this stuff. If you can't tell, leave a comment below and I'd be happy to answer or help any way that I can. If you want to learn more about the gear that is actually needed to create high quality content, not camera rigs, but things like microphones, the cameras themselves, lenses, even lights, how to set all that up, friend, go to guidedproductions.com/studio gear guide. Download my free PDF copy of my film studio gear guide because I outline all the gear needed at any budget to produce high quality content. If you've got 200 bucks to spend, I can show you where to put that 200 bucks so that you can produce high quality, professional looking content at that dollar amount. If you've got $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to spend, obviously the sky becomes the limit. And with that, thank you for spending this time with me. Friend, experiment with new accessories on your camera, but don't go out and buy things that you don't need. Make sure you're always investing in the areas that are going to serve you. Friend, have an amazing day, and I will see you on another video real soon.